Welcome back everyone to another chess video. I'm Potato Plum, and I am a liar. I promised episode 8 of the Vienna game opening, but instead I'm creating a chess tournament recap video. I recently played in the Tokyo Chess Championship. Actually, not recently. Today I played in the Tokyo Chess Championship, and today was the day 1, and tomorrow will be day 2. So I played 3 rounds today, and I thought that it will be interesting to share these 3 games with you. I won't spoil the results, but each of these games have lots of flavors, and I hope that you find these games interesting. The first round, I was playing against, let's see, a player named Ken. Now, with that in mind, let's get right into the first match. So I opened up with e4, obviously, because I'm a Vienna player, but my opponent responded with d6, which is the French defense. I played the move d4, and opponent played d5, and I went into the Tarrasch variation of the French defense. Now, it is worth noting that I can also trade here for the exchange variation or advance for an advanced variation. But I went for a Tarrasch because not a lot of people are familiar with this specific variation, and I felt like I could catch my opponent off guard with it. My opponent played c5, which is very logical. I responded with knight f3, knight c6, and then c3. Now, all of this is some very, very normal, natural Tarrasch variation stuff. Now, it is worth noting that he can play the move queen out like this, but what I can do is I can actually move my knight to b3 after that, so just to illustrate. And after this, both players should be completely fine here. And the engine gives the evaluation as pretty much equal, plus 0.8. So with that in mind, let's look at what actually happened. So instead, what my opponent played was knight f6, and kind of virtually forcing the move e5. Now, it is worth noting I can also take here, or I can play the move bishop d3. But instead of playing these moves, I decided to push because I wanted to have a very close center. And I wanted to take this game positionally because I figured if I took this game positionally, maybe I'll have a higher chance at winning. Because I was pretty confident because it was the round 1 and I've been well prepared for this tournament. Now, after these 3, now this is actually kind of an inaccuracy in the long, if you look at it. But the reason I played this move was to provoke the move c6. After c6 and c2, the center is very close. I have a pretty scary bishop, and if he ever decides to castles like this, I can have a pretty big initiative in the future. So I felt like this was going to be a pretty good variation for me. In addition to that, if he commits his pawn to c4, what I can do is I can create a pawn break in the future and try to expand on the queen side and play on the queen side. So, of course, my opponent, as a French player, knows this and does not push the pawn, but rather plays the best move, queen a4. Then queen a4 threatens this pawn in the middle, by, let's say, I castle, for instance. Takes. He is perfectly fine in this position. Now, I did mention that he went backwards like this. There are some cases in the French where, let's say, just for the sake of demonstration, where my knight is not here and he plays a random move like this. And he doesn't have like a knight on this diagonal. Then there are some cases where I can play the move bishop b5 check and pick up the queen, but in this case we obviously know that is not the case, as it is quite closed and is because this bishop and the knight is blocking the way essentially. So I play the move queen a4. Now this queen a4 move looks actually quite odd, and the engine actually doesn't really like it, but I have played this move sometimes before online, and I realized in those games that after c takes, I have a very scary initiative once he castles. So in this position, what my opponent played is actually b2, getting ready to castle, which is what I want. And after I castled, he castled himself, and then I took on to c5. Now, it is worth noting that if he takes with the bishop here, I have a very, very nasty sacrifice with the bishop. Takes h7, and I can bring my queen around for a very, very scary attack. Now, it is worth noting that he can pull his rook away and try to create an escape square here, but after check, and what was it? After check, f8, Asia check and takes. It is worth noting that this position is borderline lost because Black's defense is practically not there, and White's attack is pretty strong. Oh, actually, I was supposed to play before that, like an intermezzo and then check. Yeah, this will be a winning position, and the other position will be a draw. But you get the point. I had a very scary attack incoming. However, my opponent obviously saw that and took with the knight, which is the best move in this position. And after queen c2 takes, he actually played the move queen c7, which I thought was very weird because it pretty much does nothing other than attack this pawn. However, after rook e1, this pawn is very solid, and I think I am good to go. Now, also it is worth mentioning that when I took this pawn on c5 here, I also knew that this pawn would be weak, but I did calculate that after rook e1, I should be fine. And with that in mind, let's look at what happened in the game. Yeah, after rook e1, my opponent played the move b6, trying to fianchetto this bishop. However, I thought that this was a mistake because after my after my knight redevelops to this square, if he takes, I can create a huge blockade here that basically puts this bishop out of business. And also in this position, what I can do if he does not take and just falls asleep, like playing the move rook d8 here, I have a very, very nasty attack incoming. Now the engine actually wants me to take, and then play this move afterwards, but I decide to rush in and play this move immediately. Now engine does not say that it's an inaccuracy or anything, but in this position, what he can do is he can take, and what I should have played in this, and then let's see. Oh, and then he moves his rook away because it was attacked, and then it looked very unpleasant. In this position, what I should have played according to the engine was to take with the knight, and then take with the queen, and he takes with the queen, and I should have lifted my rooks, and then started an attack like that. However, I decided to rush into the attack with queen g3. Now, this is an inaccuracy because of the move knight takes, and then he has the move f4. Now, what this does is it essentially kind of blocks in this entire thing, and then it protects the g7 square with the queen, so the attack actually kind of fizzles out. So it's not that great if you look at it. However, I played it anyways, and also it's kind of difficult to spot this move, I guess, because you have a bishop, fianchetto bishop. So in this point, my opponent blunders with the move knight e7. Now at this point, when he played knight e7, I was fairly confident that I had the game in my hand. So I decided to play the move h4, very, very aggressive, trying to rip open the king side. In this position, what my opponent does is play the move h5, and in this position, what I should have played is the move bishop f6, and then my opponent moves this knight, and then I can move back my bishop, and then I'll be having a really, really nasty attack here. I actually don't know what the black pieces should do here, but according to the engine, it should play the move like bishop c8, which is pretty sad, not gonna lie. Yeah. So, anyways, with that in mind, let me show you the brilliant move I played after that, which is rook e2, a brilliant blunder. Now, this is because of the move bishop a6. Now, at this point, I was fairly tilted. Like, according to the engine, I'm fine. But what you have to notice is that I did know that this move was coming, but I thought that if I move my bishop and then he blocks like this, for some reason I thought that my e5 pawn will be weak, so I wanted to double stack my rook here. However, when he played this move, I kind of just completely shut down. Like, I was broken. So I played a very, very big blunder. Bishop f6 here. And after he went with his knight, what I should have done is just move my rook. Just admit my mistake and then play on from there. But instead, what I did was double down on the idea and then played the move queen g5, which is another blunder. Because he can just take, and then I believe takes here, and I'm just down the piece. So at this point, I considered resigning, but I decided to play on. I traded the queens here, which is a bad idea when you're down material. And then I just resigned after that. After a few moves, I resigned. So it was actually a pretty heartbreaking game because I had a very strong attack coming. But after one blunder, actually this is more of an inaccuracy, but after making this inaccuracy, I kind of just completely shut down with this blunder. So round 1, I lost the game. It was pretty sad. But after analyzing with my opponents, I realized that I could have won this game, but I kind of just threw it. So with that in mind, let's look at round 2. So round 2, I played a person called Eugene. He was actually a really nice guy. We talked after the game about the game, and here are some of the analysis that we came up with. He opened up with b3, the Nimzo Larsen attack, and I played the move knight f6 here. It is worth noting that in online chess, I will usually play the move e4, and then I'll play the move knight c6. But I figured that he is an online player, so what I did is actually try to do something that's kind of different from what he will usually do. Yes, that's why I played the move knight f6 here. Then he fianchettoed, I played d5, and he plays d5. A kind of an odd move because it kind of shuts down this diagonal here. But I think if he manages to kind of push this pawn or remove this pawn somehow, he could be better with this bishop. But anyways, I digress. I play e6, trying to solidify the structure. He plays the move knight f3. I play c4, c6. Sorry, long day. I'm having a hard time. Okay, c5 here. With the idea that if he takes, I can take back with the bishop, with a very active bishop. Although it kind of opens up his bishop in the long run, what I can do is I can just, let's say he plays this for an example. I can reinforce it with my knight, and I should be good to go. But instead of taking, obviously, he plays the move e3, kind of creating like solid structure. I play the bishop e7, getting ready to castle. He plays the move bishop d3. I play knight c6, castles. No, he does not castle. I'm sorry. He plays a3, preventing this first. And then I play the move queen b6, a rather interesting move. So the entire idea of this move is to threaten the move c4 here. Because if I play c4, he cannot really take because his bishop's hanging. So I thought that this move was rather interesting. Castles, I play c4 here. And he puts his bishop back. And then I was actually in a dilemma here because I knew that if I take here, I would come out with a very, very dry position with 0-0s. I kind of understood that. But I really didn't want to go into a draw. But I decided that I should play this eventually. But before playing this and trying to open up this file, I castle first. My opponent plays, I believe, knight c3. And then I just cave in to taking this pawn here. After that, I just casually develop, and he plays the move b4 here. Now, it is worth noting that I did consider sacrificing here because I thought that the sacrifice was decent because I have two passed pawns here, two connected passed pawns. And although he still has lots of minor pieces in the center, after, let's say, some basic developmental moves, I figured that I can just push down this pawn and then have a very, very decent endgame. And let's see. Engine disagrees with me. But yeah, that's what kind of I thought. But in order for that to work, what I had to do was I had to get this rook in the game. So I played the move rook fc1. My opponent played rook c1. Oh, actually, this rook fc. My bad. And then I decided to play the move d8. Or I wish I played this move. Because I decided to blunder my queen with the amazing move rook e2. And trapping my queen. And just like that, round 2 ended. I made a very stupid blunder, and then I lost immediately. Which is quite sad. But after the game, when we analyzed, I was actually considering this move as well. We came to a conclusion that bring the queen back, and after this, maybe like just rotating the knight would have been nice. But this is sad. This was very sad. It was very demoralizing. One move blunder. Once again, one move blunder. Just lost the game here. So I was very sad after this game. It ended very early. 13 moves. It was very sad. But I had to continue. And I finally played round 3. I actually don't remember his name, but he was a really nice dude. I had the white pieces, and I opened up with e4. And he responded with e5. I played the Vienna. I told you round 3 is going to be Vienna. So I played the Vienna, and he played knight f6. And I played the Vienna Gambit. He knows that he's not supposed to take here. And he plays the main line 5. Now, I have done some videos on this, so if you are interested, you can go check it out. Here, I play the main line takes. And on the video, on the Vienna game video, I recommended the Paulsen variation. But after lots of extensive studies, I came to a conclusion that Paulsen variation will lead to a very unfavorable endgame if black knows what he is doing, which was the case in this case, in this game, or at least that's what I thought. So I played a very nice move, knight f3. Now this is kind of like a secret weapon I keep for myself, but it is. I know what you're thinking, but anyways, it's a pretty nice move. It's kind of like the main line in this situation, and if black doesn't know what he's doing, he can be in a lot of trouble. But regardless, I played this move, and my opponent played the move knight c6, which is actually kind of an inaccuracy, because what I can do is I can kind of threaten this knight here, and then move on from there. Actually, I played the move queen e2, which according to the engine is an inaccuracy. But here's a saying in this knight f3 kind of Vienna: when in doubt, play queen e2. If the e takes, I have a very nice open file here. Unlike the Paulsen variation, you don't take with the b pawn. You have to take with the d pawn, and then think about castling on the castling long. But anyways, regardless, he was scared that I would trade here, so he went back. I pushed, and then he was forced to move back with a pretty sound attack on my d pawn. But after bishop e3, my d pawn's solid, and I'm good, and I'm ready to castle. After that, what my opponent should have played was actually bishop b4, but instead my opponent very passively plays bishop e2, bishop e7, and I played the weird looking move queen f2. Now, it is worth noting that queen f2 is very weird, but my idea was that maybe in the future I can bring my queen around, and also I know that he's going to castle short, so I can kind of bring out my bishop in the future. Although with this, I can sometime in the future, let's say I can bring out my queen and my pieces for a very insane attack. At least that's what I thought. And yeah, the engine wanted me to long castle immediately. Yeah, he castles, I castle, and then he plays the move 6. I think we talked after the game, and my opponents at this point kind of wanted to pawn storm me and then try to bust open the queen side. And I was actually quite afraid of this, because he was actually playing these moves relatively quickly, and I was kind of scared if he was like actually calculating these and I was like in a bad position or not. But regardless, I play the move g4 here, trying to pawn storm myself. He plays b5. I play knight e2, trying to rotate my knight around for an attack. He plays a5, very slow pawn movement. I think he should have just stormed in here, but he plays a5. I play knight f4, trying to... I don't know what... I think I should have played knight g3, but I guess I was scared that I will kind of block this. But yeah, I think knight f4 was a mistake here. And he plays the move b4. I play the move b3. Now, it is worth noting that b4 here is an inaccuracy, and it is because after bishop d3, he cannot play the move knight b4 to target my bishop. So that's why it is an inaccuracy. He takes my knight, my terrible knight. So at this point, I was very confident that I should be winning this because I have some huge initiative and my pawn storm's coming as well. While he does have a pawn storm coming, but he has no minor pieces to support this attack. So I thought that I was better here. And according to the engine, it is equal because it is kind of, the position is kind of wishy-washy, but I felt like it was quite interesting. And then at this point, let's see. I'm sorry. The PGN sometimes is kind of off, so let me take a look at this real quick. Knight 4, b4, d3, knight takes, bishop takes. Ah, yes, he played a4 here. And then I played rook dg1 with the idea of pushing here. Now, it looks very, very scary for both sides. Like, engine gives 0-0 here because engine does not know what the hell's going on. But I felt fairly confident here. I felt like I had some good initiatives. Then he played the move bishop a6, I believe. Actually, no. He played a3 first, trying to break open my queenside pawn structure. If I take, he has a nasty move. Rook b8 coming, and I'll be in a whole lot of trouble. But luckily, I can lock down this position with b3, and then I was completely fine, safe and sound here. And then he played the move bishop out to a6, and then here I play, I guess if you call it a brilliancy, it is a brilliancy. I played this very scary looking bishop takes h7, and then he took, and it seems like I have normal checks here. But I played this very scary looking g5, disconnecting this bishop and queen battery and getting ready to infiltrate. And it looks like I have nothing here. Looks like I have nothing. And it is true. The engine hates this position. It's minus 1.9. But you have to be very precise as black here. Now, according to the engine, what black has to do is play this very weird looking queen d7. And after I check, back, and if I try to rook lift, according to the engine, this is what black has to play. This is the only way to have that minus 1.9 advantage. However, he misses this, fortunately. And then what he wanted to do was create counterplay by playing knight a7 and then playing the move c5 in the future. And this was a critical mistake. Here I came in with my queen here, queen h4, and then he went. If he goes back, it is worth noting that I have the queen h, and then after moving my pawns up, this should be game over. But my opponent surprisingly finds the best move. King g6. I have no way to attack. When he played this move, I kind of panicked. The engine says that I'm perfectly fine here, but you have to be. I have to be honest here. I was panicking when he played queen g6 because I saw no attack that was coming. But I played the engine best move, queen 4, and then he played the move, and he blundered f5. This is a forced checkmate. After en passant, come back here, play this. If he takes, it's checkmate. If I check and he goes back, check, mate. It's forced mate here. And it'll be nice if I found this forced mate. After king f7, instead of I did see this move, but I didn't know this was mate. I didn't see that this was mate, unfortunately. So after this, I decided to go for takes g7. Now there's nothing wrong with this. After takes, he took, checked, goes back. I played this another very weird looking move. e6. Takes, check, check. and then I decide to trade queens here for some reason, and I blunder. According to the engine, this very position is +5. And then I just decide to give a free rook. And just like that, I lost my third round. I did play on because he took with the bishop. I did try to use my pass pawn here, but it was futile. After some basic moves, I was completely lost. So I actually lost all 3 rounds today. And to be very honest, I wanted to quit my chess career after these 3 games. But then I came to a conclusion that it is true that I played very poorly because of the one move blunders. I think at the same time it showed potential, that I could be a very strong player if I be careful with those small little blunders. So tomorrow I'm going to be going back, and hopefully I'll redeem myself, and hopefully tomorrow I can title I redeemed myself or something. But today it was a very disappointing day for me. And yeah, that was that. All right, so that does it for this video. I hope you all have a very good day, and I hope you guys found this recap very interesting. Please like if you do. If you want to see none of these videos and just want to see Vienna game, just hit the subscribe button or leave a comment down below. I'll stop doing these recaps. It's tiring for me as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video in tomorrow's recap. I'll see you. Goodbye.